Android Studio. Calculate the tip. 2. Add a click listener to the button. The first step is to add a click listener to specify what the calculate button should do when the user taps it. 1. In onCreate of mainActivity.kt, after calling setContentView, set up a click listener on the calculate button and have it call calculate tip. 2. Still in the mainActivity class, but outside of onCreate, add a helper method called calculate tip. This is where you'll add the code to check the UI and calculate the tip. Get the cost of service. 1. Get the text of the service fee. In the calculate tip method, get the text property of the cost of service edit text and assign it to a variable called string in text field. Remember that you can use the binding object to access interface elements. UI elements can also be referenced by their resource ID names, in camel case. Note the .text at the end. The first part, binding.cost of service, refers to the interface element of the service cost. Adding .text at the end indicates that you want to get the result, the edit text object, and get the text property from it. This is called chaining and is a very common pattern in Kotlin. 2. Convert the text to decimal numbers. Call to double on string in text field and store it in a variable named cost. However, this doesn't work, you need to call to double on the string. It turns out that the text property of edit text is editable because it represents text that can be changed. 3. Call to string on binding.costofservice.text to convert it to string. Now, string in text field to double will come into play. Get tip percentage. Now you need the tip percentage that the user selects from the radio group of radio buttons. 1. In calculate tip, get the checked radio button ID property of tip options radio group and assign it to a variable called selected ID. Now you know which radio button is selected. One of r.id option _20%, r.id option _18%, and r.id 15%. 2. The corresponding percentages are also required. You can write a series of if/else statements, but it's much simpler to use when expressions. Calculate the tip and round it up. The tip is the service charge multiplied by the tip percentage, that is tip equals service charge * tip percentage. Optional, the value can be rounded up. 1. In calculate tip, after the other code you've added, multiply cost by tip percentage, and assign it to a variable called tip. Note that VAR is used here, not VAL. This is because you may need to round up the value if the user selects the corresponding option, so the value may change. For a switch element, you can check the isChecked attribute to see if the switch is on. 2. Assign the isChecked property of the roundup switch to a variable named roundup. The term rounding refers to rounding up or down a decimal number to the nearest integer value. But in this case you just want to round up or find the upper limit. For this you can use the ceil function. There are several functions with that name, but the one you want is one defined in Kotlin.math. Format the tip. 1. In calculate tip, after other code, call numberFormat.getCurrencyInstance. This gives you a number formatting tool that you can use to format numbers as currency. 2. Using the number formatting tool, chain the call to the format method with the tip, and assign the result to a variable called formatted tip. Note that number format is displayed in red. This is because Android Studio cannot automatically figure out which version of number format. 3. Hover over number format and select import. In the list of possible imports, select number format, java.txt. Android Studio adds the import statement at the top of the main activity file, and the number format is no longer read. Display the tip. The Android framework provides a mechanism for this called string parameters, so someone translating your app can change where the number appears if needed. 1. Open strings.xml. Change tip_amount string from tip amount to tip amount, %s. Formatted currency will be inserted at %s. 2. Now, set the text of tip result. Return to the calculate tip method of mainActivity.kt and call getString, or .string.tip_amount, formatted tip, and assign that to the text attribute of the tip result text view. Setting a placeholder for this text view is useful when developing applications and viewing previews. 3. Open activity_main.xml, find tip_result text view. Remove the line of code that contains the Android text attribute. 4. Add a line of code for the tools text property set to tip amount, $10. Note that the tool text is displayed in the layout editor. 5. Run the application. Enter the amount of the service fee and select some options, then press the Calculate button.